Hey, welcome back. Welcome to the Anxious Love Coach YouTube channel. It's really nice to be back. I've been focusing on the podcast and also on Instagram, and we have a group program coming up that's just so exciting. I'll talk about it just a little bit at the end. But also, YouTube is kind of intimidating for me, and it's just a lot to manage a bunch of social media channels. But one thing I've decided is I would really like to trickle off of Instagram as much as I love it. It's my baby. It's also really exhausting, and I'd love to be more here on YouTube doing long form content. And I know a bunch of you guys follow me here. I'm not as engaged, but I will start making an effort more now, especially since I realized how much of an energy suck Instagram can be for me. Today, I want to talk about why your relationship anxiety might be flaring up right around the holidays. I would have posted this like a month or two ago. I apologize, but I had COVID and I couldn't talk for the last few weeks. There is a podcast episode that I recorded last year that you guys can check out if you want like a longer form content version of this. But the big thing that made me want to talk about this now is because so many people I am speaking to, including myself, because I speak to myself, colleagues, friends, clients, even old clients that have used the anxious love approach to really get to the other side and feel a lot more confident in their relationships, have noticed a flare up in relationship anxiety more than usual. And as I said, I am included in this. I haven't really been experiencing relationship anxiety in years, but it did flare up this past month, and it was really hard for me to share about it. And I didn't know where it came from, and I was like, how am I supposed to talk about how to overcome this when I'm experiencing it right now? Oh my God. But I think it's also when I kind of tune into my wise self, I can see that, this really is a journey. And I don't see relationship anxiety as something that has to be like permanently cured or fixed. It's more a symptom of stuff inside that needs addressing. And let's talk about what typically happens during the holidays. Not to mention, this is a unique holiday season during a pandemic. This isn't just a pandemic, this is like 2 years into a pandemic, and people are exhausted, fed up, and feeling really, really powerless to the circumstances. And so, guess what? Your romantic relationship is going to feel the impact of that energy of powerlessness, of frustration. That's going to impact your relationship. Duh. So, I would advise you not to make any giant relationship decisions during this time. As Happy New Year. As the new year approaches, by the time you watch this, the new year is going to have passed. We're in that season of change and transition. A lot of us are thinking about the kind of year that we want to create ahead. A lot of us are going to be face to face with things in our lives that are not so stable. You may have noticed throughout the holidays that a lot of old family stuff might surface. Whether you have an estrangement in your family, maybe you have someone who is mentally ill, maybe you have someone who is an alcoholic or an addiction, or maybe you're just not on the kind of terms that you would like to be on with certain people. Maybe there are certain families that you just wish you had a better relationship with, but you don't. Guess what? That's going to surface during the holidays, whether you see them or not. Personally, for me, there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that I don't talk about on social media. I talk about relationship anxiety, but I have a life and a private one, and there is plenty of family drama in my in my life, and it hurts. And I spent a lot of tears and grief and did a lot of rage rituals during this holiday season to kind of make space for that. And what you might notice is that sense of disappointment or powerlessness or frustration or hopelessness. If you are taking every single thought at face value, you might think that it's your partner's fault or that your partner is causing it. I noticed my thoughts going to, maybe I don't want to be in this, maybe I want to leave, maybe I want a totally different man. And this was happening during a time where there was some family stuff coming up. and I was totally powerless to do anything about it. There's also a pandemic, a lot of things that are totally out of my control. Again, totally powerless to do anything about it when I really look at it. And that's a really uncomfortable thing to sit with. Powerlessness is one of the most difficult emotions that we can feel. Hopelessness, powerlessness, frustration, disappointment. We have programs teaching people how to be with these emotions without fixing them, without making them go away. It's really, really hard. And even I struggle with it. So part of the work is in allowing the emotion, and we have these ways that we try to escape these difficult emotions. And one of them might be in convincing yourself that there's something wrong with your relationship. So I want you to consider that maybe it's, again, this isn't the case for everyone. This is the case for people who are normally quite content with their relationship. They have a lot of healthy dynamics, and just recently they want out during the holidays. Did anything really change? No, we're just in the holidays. Interesting. What's that about? So I want you to consider maybe you're quite a bit fed up with this year or the last couple of years. Maybe you just want a totally different life. You want a life where there's no COVID. You want a life where you're making more money. You want a life where things are easier. You want a life where you're not feeling this heartbreak. You want a life where you are given easier circumstances. You want a life that's less frustrating. But that's not what you got. You got this normal life. And you've got this partner who is imperfect, and that part of you that does not want to feel powerlessness, the part of you that doesn't want to feel that sense of hopelessness, the part of you that doesn't want to drop into the feeling of disappointment of what your life is and what it isn't, might see your relationship as a convenient little escape hatch. But I want you to question that. Maybe it's not a different partner that you want. Maybe in this moment, it's just a different life that you want. This life that we have today is fucking frustrating, you guys. This life that we're living, this time in history is frustrating, it's confusing, it's sad, it's heartbreaking. And whether you had the most perfect partner or not, you would probably feel this way. It just happens to be that when we have a difficult emotion, the mind will search for why we feel this way, and it will search for ways to resolve it. It just so happens that you're not going to be resolving the pandemic, but maybe you can quit the relationship and feel a sense of relief. But that powerlessness that you feel about today's day and age and the life that you're living right now, that powerlessness will follow you there, because there are gifts inside powerlessness. So I say this to remind you that sometimes emotions just are, and sometimes circumstances just are, and you can certainly make changes and adjustments. But if you are kind of navigating your relationship based on how you feel, alone, based solely off of how you feel, those emotions will follow you whether you are single or not. And sometimes we just need to sit with them. So there's a lot of family stuff coming up during this time. We're moving into a new year. We're thinking about the kind of lives we want to create. Transition is in the air. It makes total sense that you would put your relationship under that lens of, what do I want to create with my life? I assure you that you have so much more power to create a beautiful life than you think. And if you've got a partner that wants to build a life with you and you both kind of have the same visions, I believe that you really can make it work. There are plenty of things I want to do to improve my relationship while simultaneously accepting it for what it is. That is a fine, difficult line to walk, my friends. So I hope that that's helpful. It just makes sense to me. The holidays are full of transitions and grief. It's also a slower time of year where people are reflecting, and all those old emotions that you might have been avoiding all year or all season are naturally going to creep up during this time. So hopefully as you move into the new year with new intention, a sense of freshness, you can simultaneously have hope and also make room for the very human, real experience of hopelessness. That's a tough emotion. Great book I'm enjoying right now is Famous Children's When Things Fall Apart. I know it's probably backwards, but I recommend it. It's been a joy for me to read right now. Or I don't know about joy. It's a painful book to read, but very humbling. And yes, if you would like to join me for the next year, I'm really excited to be welcoming women into my next group program. All of our group programs in the past have always been like 10, 12 weeks, but for the first time ever, my co-coach, Sheridan, and I are going to be co-creating, co-hosting, co-holding a 6-month container for women who are either currently in a healthy relationship but experiencing a lot of anxiety and doubt, or are generally falling into the same pattern over and over of having partners that are totally into them and they just constantly have one foot out the door. So we start on February 16th, 2022. And you can find all the information over on my website, anxiouslovecoach.com. And take a look at our group program called Upward Spiral into Love. It's really about doing shadow work within the context of committed relationship, using your partnership as a mirror for the unresolved stuff that you need to address within. Fundamentally, what relationship anxiety is really about is a lack of self-trust. So how do we create self-trust? Well, we have to get different aspects of ourselves on the same page. You know, you've got one foot in, one foot out. Let's get both feet on the same page. And it's also about expanding your capacity to feel. We're not afraid of bad things happening. We're afraid of how we think we're going to feel when these things happen. And there's usually a history and a past and stories that we've experienced and beautiful things that we've learned and events that have happened to make us so fearful of pain. So we need to look at that. We need to examine the old belief systems that contribute to how we look at relationships and really start to question them and have a more empowering view on relationships. So if you're ready to join, take a look over at my website, anxiouslovecoach.com. You can enroll today. And feel free to email me, Natalie@anxiouslovecoach.com, if you have questions about joining us. Otherwise, thanks for being here. I hope you have a very, very happy new year, and it's been so wonderful being here with you.